Hi, I'm Taylor Hutchison. I'm a NASA postdoctoral fellow at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in the US. This workshop is incredible. I'm having a really wonderful time learning the different pieces of the early universe that I don't necessarily study, so I'm less familiar with, and then being able to contribute and really help motivate the parts of the science that I'm very deeply familiar with, so we can kind of create this big picture understanding of what we've learned so far with the amazing JWST observatory, and then what we can learn in the future. Another thing I really appreciate about this workshop is I'm able to meet people I've never been able to meet before, but whose work I have been following for years at this point, and being able to actually talk to them about their science and my science and create new connections and networking, while at the same time doing this awesome workshop. One of the biggest questions that drives the work I do right now is trying to find the most distant galaxies in the known universe and really study what's going on inside of them and learn anything that we can about them, because it's still very much unknown. Yeah, right now I work with lots of really beautiful spectroscopy, or what I like to think of as light fingerprints, of these very distant galaxies at these beautiful levels of sensitivity, because this telescope is amazing. And I'm really excited. We have some new observations coming in every few months now. And so I'm really excited to begin to start playing with that data and learn even more about the galaxies that I study. The workshop's going really well. This has been a really intense, very detailed, 8-hour days. Everyone's working really hard, and we're having some really amazing conversations. We're finding new holes in the science that we study that are really exciting opportunities to go learn more. And it's been really beautiful to be able to sit down and really reflect on everything this observatory has enabled so far in just a year and a half of observations. Yes. The first time I actually looked through a telescope, I think I was a small child, and you grow up looking at the moon from a distance, and it's just this fuzzy little dot. I remember the first time I got to look through a telescope and see the craters on the moon. That just completely made my imagination run wild, and I definitely had dreams for weeks following about running around on the moon and what I could do if I could get out there. It was very much inspiring. Yes. A lot of my friends and colleagues, when they were young, they wanted to be, an archaeologist or an astronomer or an astronaut. And when I was young, for some bizarre reason, my biggest dream was to be an Egyptian mummy. And so I had always wanted to go to Egypt, and I always wanted to be an Egyptian mummy, and that was a very odd life goal as a child. Unfortunately, I never achieved that life goal, but we still got time. To succeed in any field, but especially in science, a big part of it is the mentorship that you have along the way and the resources that you have access to. So something I'm very passionate about is trying to remove as many barriers to access as I can, because I really benefited from having these resources, and I want to make sure everyone has that opportunity. So something that I do a lot is I accumulate resources or make my own, and I share them with the community to try and level the playing field as much as possible, so everyone has the opportunity to succeed. I do, yes. So I love tattoos. Generally I get tattoos that are marine biology themed, but I have one space tattoo, which is the Aquila constellation. It's actually part of a friendship tattoo with 2 other astronomers, and it makes up the constellations in the northern hemisphere called the Great Constellation, and it's 3 different constellations. So. I've never been to ISSII before. I've actually never been to Switzerland before, so this has been a really amazing experience. Thank you for having me. Bye.